Sex and Violence with Rebel Girl is presented by UFC Fight Pass. See the best that UFC Fight Pass has to offer on the Fight Pass 24/7 stream, offering a constant channel of historic fight action all day, all night. Tune in, sit back, and enjoy a network created by fans for fans. Step into our world. UFCFightPass.com.
Sex and violence. Sex and violence. Sex and violence. Sex and violence.
Hey guys, welcome back to Sex and Violence with Rebel Girl, presented by UFC Fight Pass, the show that interviews top-level MMA fighters and other experts in their fields about love, dating, romance, and that all-too-taboo subject, sex. I'm your host, Ashley Rebel Girl Evans Smith. Now let's talk about sex and violence.
What's happening, hot stuff?
What is up, all my naughty listeners? Okay, so I really hate to start the show with sad news, but so is life, you know? People, we lose people, and last week, I think it was actually last Friday, so not quite a week yet, well, maybe exactly a week. R.I.P. Anthony Rumble Johnson. We lost a real good one, guys. And, I wasn't super close to Rumble. He had, I have one really nice memory. I remember he was walking in the hotel lobby, and I was at the bar waiting for someone to come down from their room. And he was had two, just beautiful babes on his arms, you know, and he's just walking, and I didn't really know him at this point, but he came over and made it a point to stop and say, "What's up," Ash, and say hi. And I just felt really special at that point, you know. He's just, this huge name fighter, and I have a nice sweet story about Cowboy Cerrone like that too. But these people that make you feel real good regardless of their status, he just felt like a really good guy. And I stayed in contact with him. I asked him to be on the podcast. When I first started the podcast, he said yes, but he was busy with some stuff. And then about a year later, I asked him again, but at that point he was struggling with his own illness. And so we never got him on the show. And it makes me sad, obviously, because I thought to myself, how beautiful would it be to have an episode where we can always go back and listen to that, forever. Shout out to my girl, Susie, who, what episode was that? I think it's in the first year for sure, but something like that. In the 20s, Susie Freeton was the UFC makeup artist who, I'd worked with her for years and just a beloved member of the community. She lost her battle with cancer, about a year or so ago. And now we always have this episode that we can go back and listen to. I'm too much of a mushy mush to listen to it right now because I know I'll just bawl like a baby. But, I actually tried to get Elias Theodoro, who RIP passed away this last year, or this year as well. And, we're just losing some good ones lately. And so what do I always say? Just, what can you do besides tell the people you love? You love them more, and show some appreciation for the people that you have in your life, guys. But yeah, we remember Anthony Johnson today, and I have a lot of friends that are also close to him as well, so a lot of my friends are affected. And if you guys knew him in any way, or you're saddened by his loss, my condolences to you guys as well. To talk about the rest of the week, if you guys are consistent listeners, then you know that I was talking about going and doing a photo shoot. I did that, and, I actually got the news while I was out in Joshua Tree, which was, God, you hear something like that, and I just instantly get grateful for the life that I still have left, It puts everything in perspective as well, and I had a fun weekend for sure. And you guys can check out those photos on my website. It's called ashleyrebelgirl.com. I'm not going to tell you guys who I did the photo shoot with, but if you guys are a subscriber on that platform, you can go, I think, today today you will be able to go and check all those out. And some other cool things I have going on this week. Tomorrow, actually, Saturday, since if you guys are listening the day this comes out, it's Friday. So tomorrow, Saturday, November 19th, Up Next Fighting at the Commerce Casino. It's actually Up Next Fighting number 3. It's their third professional event, and there's going to be a title fight. It's a flyweight title, so they're crowning the first ever UNF title fight, and I believe the last time we checked it was Gilbert Nakatani versus Jesse Rosas, 2 local fighters, so come check that out if you are local. upnextfighting.com. I know general admission tickets are sold out, but if you guys want to get a table or something like that, I think you can still do that. And one thing I wanted to bring up, it's kind of just a random thing, but I feel like we should spread more love in our lives, right? And a little thing that happened to me at training yesterday. I was in the gym and was going to wrestle. Yesterday was my first day back to live wrestling. I'm doing good, except for the fact that I can't turn my neck to the right now. So just beat up, normal wear and tear. And I'm just so excited to be back in the room. And, it's been about 2 years since I've really trained like a fighter. And actually I have like a bruise on my chest right now. It looks all tacky and I'm sore. I can't turn my neck, but I'm like the happiest I've ever been. I actually feel like a fighter. I feel beat up and I feel sore and I love it. I know it's weird, but that's just part of this crazy profession. And so I go in there and I'm a little bit nervous because even though wrestling is my bread and butter, you got a lot of younger, hungry people in the room. I'm fucking 35. You get girls and guys in there that are, super young. And I was just a little nervous about how it was going to go. It went great. And then at the end of practice, one of my teammates, shout out to Tristan, he actually came up and was like, "Hey, Ash," because my wrestling coach, Kenny Bolt Johnson, he's a funny motherfucker. He's always teasing and like breaking my balls type situation. And he was joking about this podcast and in a good way. And Tristan came up after practice and was like, "Hey, I just want to say, I see what you've been doing on the mat, off the mat. And I just want to say, keep doing what you're doing. You're really killing it." And I know I'm a big mushball, but that just meant so fucking much to me that, and I'm not super close with this guy. I haven't seen him in a long time. He's been doing his own thing. He's back in the gym now. I'm back in the gym. But one of the first things he says was like a super positive, like appreciative like type comment. And I'm like, that's the kind of like, vibe and environment that I want to be a part of. And I just thought, I'm going to bring that up on the podcast, because if you just spread that kind of love, I know it's mushy guys, but like he made me feel good. And so I'm like, man, I'm going to be sure to make somebody else feel good. Sometimes we have these thoughts like, man, that person's technique looks really good, or they, he or she looks good today, and you just don't say it. I just think we should say it more often, and it felt really good. So that's my little mushy rant, spread more love, guys, even in the combat sports, and then, I'm actually going to start talking to you guys a little bit about a new stem cell place that I'm going to be basically trying out in January 29th, somewhere around there, at the end of January. I'm going to Colombia, and I'm going to be getting stem cells from BioAccelerator. They're just at BioAccelerator on Instagram. Super cool place, extremely professional. I will be giving you kind of like an update as things happen. You guys are probably thinking, wait, you're getting stem cells, but you said you're back to training. Yeah, that's because I've been training as much as possible, but my body seems to have a little bit of nerve pain still. So, what can I do? I got to give it as much as I can. And then, when I start to feel pain, I pull back a little bit. But I guess that's just what happens to your body when you get a little bit older and still want to do a sport where you literally have to beat the shit out of your body. So I'm going to keep you guys updated with those stem cells, not because I feel like you care so much about my journey, but I'm a firm believer in stem cells. I got stem cells from CPI, Cellular Performance Institute, down in Tijuana. Amazing facility. I couldn't, speak higher enough about them, but I'm trying out another place because I got to do what's best for my body. And I'm going to give you guys a little bit of update because I know a lot of you guys are probably suffering from whether you're an athlete or maybe you sit at your desk and your lower back is fucked up or you got your old football injury or, I don't know, you always had a wonky foot, something. Stem cells seem like the way to go as opposed to surgery. So, and then lastly, before we get to our guest, I want to remind you guys that if there's anyone out there listening and you just love this fucking podcast and you want to help us out and you have any experience in marketing or just really like marketing, I think would be the best background to have because you would be a sex and violence intern, which obviously intern means no money. So don't ask for it because I ain't got it. But I could pay you in other ways. And that would be, working one-on-one and maybe we could collaborate on social media and stuff like that. So send your doesn't have to be a resume, but your qualifications, if you will, either to our email, which is sexandviolencepodcast@gmail.com, or you can just DM us. That works as well. Zol was telling me, Ashley, nobody emails anymore. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. So if you guys just want to send some of your qualifications to the DM, that's okay as well. And that's about it, guys. Be sure to share this podcast. I tell you every week, but how many of you have really done that? Just share it. Doesn't got to be to your mom. Your mom doesn't want to hear about a sex podcast, but send it to your buddy, send it to your brother, send it to your sister, whatever. Send it to your coach. Who knows? All right, guys, let's talk about our guest. Today's guest is an internationally recognized media personality, cage-side reporter, martial artist, commentator, fitness professional, and actress. She's been featured on Showtime Sports, Access TV Fights, UFC Unfiltered, CNN, MTV, ESPN, Spike TV, and Fox. Her fight commentary has extended to both color and play-by-play coverage for several promotions around the world. As a martial artist, she trained with Muay Thai legend Ajarn Phil Nurse and has experience in training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, karate, and Western boxing. A strong advocate for health and fitness, a certified trainer who frequently appears on multiple fitness platforms such as DailyBurn, 365, Weight Watchers, and TRX Training Club. We talk about working with Flavor Flav and Kid and Play, Nerd Love, Star Wars Convention First Date, training with a partner proven to help bonding, used panties for 20,000 DJ songs, dating a magician, Doves Cry, The Sex Hangover, Puerto Rican and Italian, Catholic as fuck, needing to be loved versus feeling loved to have sex, sexual bucket list, international booty, James Bond fantasies, breaking the fart barrier in a relationship, and so much more. Here is your guest, Phoenix Carnevale. With Phoenix Carnevale. Did I say it right? All right.
Yes.
I was saying it wrong, and then we spoke the other day, and I'm like, man, do people mess up your name a lot?
Yeah, but it works if you say Carnavale or Carnevale. It's like tomato, so I don't give a shit.
I like it. It sounds like the perfect name for what you do. Commentator, cage-side reporter, fitness professional. Sounds like a cool, and then actress. It sounds like a just famous person's name. I love it. Phoenix Carnevale.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Someone told me that one time about my hyphenated name. They're like, ooh, that sounds like a famous person's name. I'm like, all right, I'll take it. So I gave you a little spiel right before we got on, all your accolades, very talented. I told people you're basically doing a lot of stuff that I want to do when I finish up my fight career or maybe, dip my toe in the water right now. So I'm in awe of you, girl. I'm very, very impressed. And I want to know all about your professional career. And then later we'll start talking about the juicy stuff,
The fun stuff?
Yeah, the fun stuff.
I'm excited for that.
Cool.
I've always loved martial arts. I actually didn't start training till I was in my 20s, which is pretty late, for most people. but I started like as a kid watching Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan and Ninja Turtles and Jean-Claude Van Damme. And the through line for everything that I do, whether it be fitness, martial arts, or acting, is good storytelling. Because if you think about the stuff that makes us really excited, even as athletes, it's those training montages in the movies. It's the build up to the fight and how freaking hard we work. It's like great storytelling, great experiences. Each fight camp is an adventure for us. Even if you're on the front end as terms of being a broadcaster, on the back end being a fighter or a coach, like it's literally a little mini movie every single time. So with acting, it's storytelling. With fitness, it's storytelling too, because to get any results, it's consistency from day to day. So I just always like a good story that inspires me or anybody who's watching.
I love that. I actually, when I smoke a little marijuana, especially, I will smoke and then I'm always like, my life is a movie and I am the main character and I am the superhero. And I'm always like, and then I get very introspective and I'm like, everybody else, they're the main character, And it's like, you get a little bit more grateful. It's like, man, I think sometimes I get in tunnel vision. And then when you step outside and you realize, they're the main character, they're the main character, you get a lot more empathetic for other people's movie, I think.
For sure. And it teaches you when you're going to be co-starring and when you're going to be starring. Yeah. So it makes you less of a selfish person in moments. You're like, this is your moment. And if you're that good sidekick or co-star to one of your friends when they greatly need it, I mean, that's what makes powerful relationships as well. I just love, if I thought of my life as a movie, it would totally be an action comedy,
Yeah, an action comedy for sure.
And those are my favorite movies. So it's I guess it's all in how you look at it.
Mine's an action comedy, but it's in the naughty XXX section. They're like, what is this action movie? Oh, that's why.
Nice. You got them in the back.
For sure.
We all love a little of that too.
So what are you doing professionally at the moment? I know life, a lot of people like you, me, like we wear a lot of hats, right? But is there one thing that you're focusing on? Commentating, cage side reporting, acting?
I do a little bit of everything, and honestly, MMA has been pretty dry lately. Once Access TV shut down and the LFA moved over to Fight Pass, they just use 2 commentators, or they're kind of a conveyor belt for the UFC's commentators now. So the UFC's commentators get good practice through the LFA, which is very, very smart for them. You know what I mean? It sucks for me, but it's very smart for them. And so I've been freelancing here and there. I got to work with Showtime. I did this weird, insane, but very funny ass story, celebrity boxing, which was like C-level celebrities. So it's like me and fucking Flavor Flav. So that was pretty crazy.
Flavor Flav.
Word. And Albie Shore was fighting, and he was being coached by Roy Jones Jr. I was like, I feel like this is one of my weird dreams that I've had after way too much edibles. But it was a reality.
Yeah, that scene of your life was like the scene in the movie that people are watching and they're like, this would never happen in real life, but it really did.
Yeah. Flavor Flav. And then like Kid and Play were performing. I was like, I'm in a time warp. Yeah. And also working. It was so strange. But you do these jobs, especially as your commentary, as is a perishable skill. So if anybody wants to get in it, do not be afraid to do regional shows. You're not going to make it to the big leagues like when I did major stuff with the Showtime or the LFA or any of that stuff, unless you do those regional shows, those regional kickboxing shows. They're all so valuable, especially when shit falls apart. You know what I mean? When it falls apart and you're like, how do I handle this? That's what preps you for everything else in the world. So right now, I'm of course looking to do commentary with any of either regional or bigger shows, because you have to maintain your skill set. And plus, it is so awesome. Like my favorite thing about DES and the LFA was I'm meeting the stars before they're stars.
Yeah.
Because every single person that became an LFA champion has gone into the UFC, and a lot of them have become UFC champions or contenders. So I'm like, I knew you when, you know what I mean? I knew you when you had 10 fights and whatnot, and you build these great rapports and relationships with people. So I really enjoy those regional shows and those main shows, because it's where you get to watch people just become great, where greatness happens.
You know, it's interesting that you say that, because I just started my little, dipping my toe into the water with Up Next Fighting, a local show here. And there's this one guy specifically that I was thinking about that whole process. I'm like, man, he made his pro debut, got an 11-second knockout. Shout out to Dion Westside Young, I think local fighter, yeah. And he's just like killing it right now. And I'm like, man, I wonder if like there'll be footage of me interviewing him, but like maybe either him or another UNF fighter makes it to the UFC one day. And I was thinking about that too. Like, it's a story, like you said, like, we'll put in that first clip, and then someday when he's, in the UFC or maybe a champion, and it tells a story of the journey. So that's interesting you say that.
Yeah. So I love doing that. And I'm always acting. I'm always doing 3 or 4 self-tapes a week. I don't think a lot of people realize how much goes into acting and rehearsing and auditioning. Auditioning is such a big deal, especially now. And most of it is at home self-tapes. I change my clothes like 3 times a day and become like 3 or 4 different people a week. And, that's always fun. And then I work in fitness to make money. And that's a huge hustle too. And, you just do a lot of different things until commentary is your main job, which it was when I was with the LFA and CES or whatever. It was my main job. But I'm fortunate enough to have a lot of other skills while you're, this is not a really, really stable career unless you're like DC or Anik, you know what I mean? And it's just kind of the way it is.
And you're like you said, you're very fortunate that all these things that you're multi-talented in are adjacent to each other. So it's not like you're mixing cement on the weekends and then going to your LFA job, It's like everything kind of makes you a little bit better. And even the fitness professional, it's like maybe it's not directly related or directly, aligned with MMA, but you're staying in shape. I know if you're doing those workout videos, like that's strenuous, right? Take after take.
It's a lot, but it teaches you public speaking, because this is weird, but how I've trained myself to do it is I'll run on the treadmill while rapping to Eminem. and you find places to breathe and how to enunciate as you're like out of breath, and how to like find breath control. So it's because when you teach and you're teaching fitness on camera, you have to speak, you have to talk at the same time. Yeah. So those are types of things. And really, I've helped be an ambassador of martial arts to a lot of people who, when they see martial arts, all they see is the violence of it.
Yeah.
Or they think of fighters as just these violent people. And that's like, so you and I both know it's so not the case. There's just so much depth to us in so many different ways. We like the violence too, but that's a whole nother story, that's a whole other part of the world as well. But
for sure.
Yeah, so I do feel like I'm a gateway drug for a lot of people who are afraid to get into martial arts. And then they're like, oh, this is kind of cool. I want to do it.
I can see that, as opposed to someone like me, they're like, ooh, she looks like she belongs in martial arts. They probably talk to you and they're like, oh, this sweet looking, beautiful lady. And then you're like, let me tell you about ground and pound. You're like, oh, shit. So what is your favorite sport?
Judgments.
What is your favorite sport to commentate? You said you did a little bit of the kickboxing. I know you've done boxing. Like, is MMA your favorite?
MMA is definitely my favorite in terms of if I'm doing play-by-play or if I'm doing reporting or cage side reporting or anything like that, or if I'm, just doing commentary or opinion pieces on MMA fighting or any of that. To do color, I really enjoy kickboxing because I feel like I feel the strongest there in color commentary. But I don't have a strong enough background in grappling to feel confident doing color commentary for like jiu-jitsu or for MMA. So that's where I would let like an actual expert, somebody, who's purple belt or above, should definitely do color commentary for that.
Yeah.
So like a lot of people don't realize that each commentator has a specific role that they play. They're not all talking about the fight in the same way. If we use Anik, for example, Anik is basically, he's the skeleton. He's the foundation of what's going to happen. He's going to lead you in from commercial. He's going to lead you out of commercial. He's going to tell you who your sponsors are. he is the play-by-play guy. Now, the color guys, they're telling you what's happening in the fight. They might tell you a little bit of background. Everybody has history on the fighters, especially if they do their jobs, and they all do their jobs very, very well.
Yeah.
Anik is gold standard. Let's just whatever. You fight me on that. And like each person has that different position that they play. The roving reporter, your job is to know what the hell is going on backstage. If somebody's injured, report what's going on with them. Give me some background or details on what's going to happen right before the fight, do the interviews, what's the mood in the arena, like all of those type of things. So each of these people, we kind of orbit around each other, and that's what makes for a really good show.
Wow. Yeah. You're right. Like, I didn't even think to break that down, because in my fighter brain, I'm like, everybody knows how it's done, the color, the play-by-play. But, I'm sure a lot of people listening, you're right. They think that there's just 3 people in there talking about the fight. That's it.
No, it's very specific. Like, somebody will be in your ear, and you'll know, like, who's next. Okay. They're going to show the replay. So there's a specific person who's going to break down the replay so that we all don't step on each other. Yeah, you can interject here and there, which makes it for a normal conversation. But there's a producer in your ear saying, replay coming, showing you the replay of the elbow, and you know what's coming, so that you know what you say. Which, like, all of the team works together in such a beautiful way when you've got like a good production set together.
Yeah, the UFC is obviously the gold standard, and I think that
100%.
a lot of the smaller but major promotions like Bellator, LFA, PFL, they probably do the exact same thing. UNF does pretty much exactly the same. It's only going to be their 3rd professional show, so I feel like, I'll say we're still finding our footing and, getting the rhythm down. But yeah, it's all essentially the same. So do you have anything on the books right now, acting-wise, or just a lot of auditioning at the moment?
A lot of auditioning, and I'm just came up with a proof of concept for something that I can't share.
Darn.
But
Okay.
it lives in like the pop culture fitness space. So hopefully that'll come out within the next 3 to 6 months, and just things like that. And again, I'm like always working on building my brand and creating my own stuff as well. I think by 2023, I'll probably start to create more content and put a lot more stuff out there.
Well, you seem like you're doing a lot of things and staying busy. Is there anything that you wish you could tell yourself back then that you know now?
I just would have started earlier.
Really?
Yeah, I just would have started earlier. I fell into this. I wasn't like, I want to be a fight commentator. I had no clue that this was what I was going to get into. I was just good at it, and it kind of fell into my lap, and then I really, really pushed. And then, it's the type of thing that there's like 10 jobs. And in order to get a job, someone has to die or get fired. There's a handful of promotions, and it's a very difficult thing. But the sports space and the commentary space is such a dope world. It's such a great, great world. So I really do wish I would have started earlier.
Yeah, for sure. Dang, that doesn't help me at all. I'm already old, but I'm
No,
getting into
it does. And you're not like as old as you think you are. It's just like, I say that just so I would feel in my head that I had more time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. And this is not, I'm not trying to lead anything, but because I've experienced so much support and help. But I was wondering, because you've been in it so much longer, have you experienced any sexism because you're a female trying to get into a primarily male-dominated industry?
Here's a couple of things about that. I have to say, I think in some instances, men deserve the shit that we talk about them, but they also deserve a lot of accolades too, because in my career, men have been awesome. I've had more guys be like, yo, she really knows her stuff, like hook her up, or do you want to come on my show, and all that type of stuff. Yeah. So I've had really great experiences with my male coworkers. I don't get hit on. I don't get bothered. I don't get me too'd. I haven't really had to deal with any of that. Good. Fans can be jerks sometimes because like you know how it gets sometimes. Yeah. What does really bother me is that it's like old sitcoms where there's only one chick. It's like the boys club, and then there can be only one chick.
Yeah.
And I hate that because I'm not the girl who hates other girls. I have a lot of chemistry with other girls. I have a lot of camaraderie with other girls. So I wish I could kind of work with more girls. I mean, I literally have been on sets where I am the only girl. Like, that's it. There's no women in audio. There's no women in production. There's no women in, and it's like, okay, it's cool to be a part of the boys club, but that kind of sucks. That means, like, where are we then?
For sure.
Instead of being in competition with the other girls that are involved with MMA, like, why can't I work with them? Why can't I co-host with them? We're going to get along. We're going to have, like, you do this show, girls talk about stuff. Guys are probably like, just to eavesdrop on a girl's perspective. That's kind of awesome. Yeah. So I feel like that bothers me. It's like, oh, we can only have one chick per show or whatever. And that kind of, I just wish it wasn't like that.
For sure.
And then when they try to pit us against each other, like, people will call me and be like, oh, I don't like this girl who's in the UFC. She's not that good, or she doesn't. I'm like, first of all, it's not her job. Her job is to do interviews, not to say her opinion. She's doing great at her job. Mm-hmm. And then, or they'll compare me to the other person and be like, you're better than her. And I'm like, first of all, I'm not. She's more like a brown belt. She has way more experience than me. And secondly, why do you have to compare us? Wouldn't we be awesome together as a team working, or because I'm the only girl, I never have girls to learn from. Yeah. I've never had a girl mentor me in the MMA space. Yeah. In the fitness space and in other jobs, I've been lucky to have dope ass bosses that are women that kind of pick women up. But it's just kind of, well, I felt a little on my own. Yeah.
I think, definitely, what does this say about my expectations or standards? But I'm like, well, at least we're not getting discriminated, like, blatantly outright. Like, I do feel like there's opportunities. It's just kind of like females in fighting. I feel like it's not as large of a talent pool, or, there's not a lot of depth there. So maybe in the future, as the sport grows and women are in the sport more, and you're trailblazing the way for females like me who can finish up the sport and still stay in the mixed martial arts community, like, you're doing everything right. And most likely, in the next 5 to 10 years, there's going to be a buttload more women, and hopefully we'll be co-hosting next to each other someday.
But yeah, I think for me personally, I would really enjoy that.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So I'm going to get straight into the good stuff. I want to know all your personal stuff. How do you identify sexually? And then also, what is your dating status? Are you single, married, in a relationship?
I am straight, and I've been in a relationship with the same dude for 7 years now.
All the guys are boo.
Yeah.
They're dang it. So I'm excited for you. I'm happy. 7 years. I hear that, and I'm like, what is the magic recipe? Because I'm so impressed by that, because life is hard, and then you stick two people. Hey, you do hard life. You do the, life hard. It's so intense. I'm so happy. Actually, next week will be 3 years with my guy. And, that's a long fucking time for me. So how do you make it work?
Yeah. The trick is to not take each other for granted.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, because we get conditioned by anything that we do all the time, we can look past it and take it for granted. And when you take things for granted, it's not as exciting. Mm-hmm. And that's the whole thing. It really comes down to listening to each other and using a lot of the things that we use in fighting. Like, for example, men are not good at listening for long periods of time. They're not. So as women, if we want to get our point across, you got to make it like Twitter, like 140 characters. Like, just say, think about it. When you fight, you got 60 seconds to tell somebody what to do to move on to the next round.
Yeah.
Because after 60 seconds, they stop listening to us.
Oh, I love that you compared it like a relationship to corner man advice. All right, I'm going to give you this advice. This is how it's going to go down.
They'll listen a little bit easier because they just can't focus for as long as we can.
I have literally seen my partner like listening intently, and I'm telling him, I'm like, he's getting it. And then we can over explain or maybe reiterate a little bit too much. Right. And you see their eyes just like glaze over, and you're like, oh, I lost him. Okay, come back.
That's just how it is. It's like, you can't blame the machine for that's how the way it works. You just have to You have to systematically plan how you're going to say stuff.
I love that. Yeah.
You know, because women, and it's hard for us because we're not satisfied. He'll say to me, like, why do you say the same thing over and over again? I'm like, because I was unsatisfied with your answers to the previous times I've said it.
I'm looking for the right answer and you keep letting me down. Come on, it's in there. Let's go.
Try again.
So what does he do and how did you guys meet initially? Was it a cute meet? Is he in the industry?
So he's a professional stuntman.
So badass.
Badass. And we met at a Christmas party. He was dressed as Kylo Ren. I was dressed as Gogo Yabari from Kill Bill.
Wow.
So have you seen Kill Bill? She's got like the ball and chain.
Yeah. I love her. Yeah.
So we were both villains. So that we connected on that. And we're both very nerdy, like Star Wars, superheroes, you know, comic books. We're very, very nerdy. So we connected on that and went to a Star Wars costume exhibit as one of our first dates. Like, this is straight nerd shit.
Adorable nerd love story. I love it. Nerd love story. Yay. Okay. So you guys met at you said Christmas party?
It was a Halloween party.
Halloween party. I'm so sorry. Halloween party. And you guys been in for 7 years. And has he been a stuntman that whole time?
Pretty much. It's just the last 4 or 5 years, his career has blown up, you know, quite a bit. He's been in a lot of major film and TV shows, and he works his ass off. I mean, fighting is hard. Stunts are really hard too. I am shocked at the stuff that he has to do. He's got to get hit by a car, you know, like.
Yeah.
But like a few times, like it's not one take they do. Like they do several takes.
I have the utmost respect for him. Yeah. I'm going to date myself right now, but you know how you have like, you know, one sentence on your MySpace and then it's like future job, all that, your top 10 friends or whatever. Mine was like, I think my quote was like, peeing your pants is cool, for like Billy Madison.
Oh, yes.
And then it was like, you know, what do you want to be when you get older? And I was like, a stunt woman. And so I was like super into it as before I got into fighting, all that. And, you know, it's crazy with stunt work. It's like, I was talking to someone about this the other day. I actually went to kind of like an industry party and I met a couple stunt guys, and it's scary because it's like you want to be a black belt in whatever it is that you do so that you don't fucking die, you know? But if you're not, let's say you're a brown belt, you know, you're kind of good, you're maybe not an expert, and then you take a job, like how much confidence do you have that you're, you know what I mean? Like it's a scary profession.
Yeah. But I think that most of them, they're not lunatics. They're actually very calculated on how they do things. They have systems in play to make sure that they're the safest as possible. You know, so that does put me at ease, but yeah, he works really hard.
I can only imagine. And something I ask all the fighters that I have on, because it just, sometimes it's the perfect match and sometimes it makes you guys clash, but you guys kind of are like industry adjacent, right? So you're both in entertainment, you know, and you both do things that are very physically demanding. How has that either benefited you or maybe caused some turmoil in your relationship?
The turmoil is we don't have enough time together.
Yeah.
And we're this weird couple where we don't fight when we're hanging out. We fight more when we don't see each other, you know? Yeah. So that and that causes like miscommunications and misunderstanding and a little bit of like bitterness and stuff, because you're jumping to conclusions because they're not there for you to work it out. Yeah. So that causes a lot when you don't hang out enough. And I suck on the phone because I'm like, I can't just talk on the phone. I got to like do something. I need to fold laundry. I can't sit still.
Yeah.
So that causes some issues. Just not seeing each other enough and never being able to make plans because you don't know when someone's going to book work, book a job, book a movie, book a TV show, you know. That's the difficult part about it. How it works is if he has a self-tape audition or I have a self-tape audition, we know exactly what to do with the other person.
Yeah.
We also understand each other's jobs. So if I don't pick up the phone for a couple of hours, he knows I'm not cheating, you know. And just understanding each other's industry. And then the other thing is that sometimes we're both exhausted.
Yeah.
And when you're exhausted, you can't put the energy and the patience into a relationship that it needs. So things take extra effort and extra communication. Like, I love you. I'm just tired. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that that's just something that just happens with with careers that are as demanding as I guess ours are.
For sure. And that's so great that you guys can help each other out like that, because a lot of times we'll have, a fighter come on and maybe they don't date another fighter because it's just too much madness, but they date, like myself, their coach who is like a jiu-jitsu person. So they can train together and they can share that and they understand. And that's seems like what you guys have. So that's beautiful. I love that.
It's amazing to train with someone that you're with. I think that enhances the relationship and the sex.
For sure.
You know what I mean? That you have this physical thing that you can do together. I hadn't sparred in like 7 years, right? And then I went to Polino Cruz, that's Alex Bajeda's coach. I went to his place a couple months ago. Oh no, it was like a month ago. And I'm out of shape right now. And I so we're both sparring. And I'm like, first 2 rounds, I'm like, oh, I still got it, right?
You're sparring your boyfriend?
No, I'm sparring like the other people in class. And, Polino's got like some Bellator fighters. He's got some really good fighters in there.
Okay.
And, first 2 rounds, I'm like, I'm all right. I still got it. Round 3, I'm getting worked up. Like my head is snapping back like a Pez dispenser. I'm getting fucked up. So my boyfriend looks over at me. He's on the other side of the room. He's sparring the bigger guys. And he looks at me and I'm like, he's like, asthma? I'm like, no, I'm fat. I'm like, I'm out of shape. And then we get to literally the last 5 minutes of class. And he's like, okay, 100 knees. And in my head, I'm like, I can't, there's no way. I'm not who I was 10 years ago. There's no way. But I do it. Pathetically, but I do it. And then we both like look at each other at the end of this class and we like collapse and we're like cracking up, you know what I mean? And it was just, and we had been having a hard time in the relationship as of recently because of all the travel. And it was just a moment that brought us back together. So anybody listening, if you don't train with your significant other, you should, because there is scientific studies that prove that when you are doing something with someone and your endorphins and your like dopamine levels rise, it actually helps with bonding.
Oh, yeah.
So if you go on a roller coaster with somebody, if you go on a run with somebody, it really helps create pair bonding.
Wow.
So go have some fun and go train with your person, and
yeah,
it helps.
I think, and when you put it like that, it's like, duh. But for fighters and people who see each other constantly, I think it could sometimes, and I speak from personal experience, it can have a reverse effect, because a lot of the things that we talked about initially with when you're together with someone and maybe, I hate to say like taking you for granted, but, that's essentially what it is. It's like you treat each other a little bit differently. And I feel like, for some people like your couple or your relationship where you want to spend time together, like that would be really beneficial. But I have also heard that it's very hard to train with your significant other when you spend a lot of time together, in addition to everything is hanging on this training and then how it goes because of the fight. So, to each their own, for sure. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of pressure, and I've experienced it too, where you're dating that person and they're harder on you, or they lose their patience with you a lot faster than they would someone else. And you're, especially I'm very anxious. I will mess up more around him than I would around like someone else.
Yeah.
Because for whatever reason, like I need to impress him more than I would just if I'm working with like a regular coach,
Yeah.
And it's so that a lot of that stuff, angst, anxiety, that could come into play as well.
For sure. And that's what happens to me. I will take the full blame on how it goes for me sometimes, because I feel like I can be more authentic and like I can show my emotions with my partner. But like if I'm frustrated with the move, I usually just need to shut the fuck up and keep doing the move as opposed to like, I'm not getting it. And I'm like complaining to my partner. And then he looks at you like, bitch, just do the move. And I'm like, but I get to cry to you and it's not, so I take responsibility for that. And that's when you just really got to check yourself and be like, okay. So it can be hard to separate the two sometimes.
I 100% agree. Yeah.
So wondering about dating in the past. You've been with your partner for 7 years, super happy, trying to learn all your tricks of the trade because that's an accomplishment. But what about, early years, your 20s compared to your 30s? I love asking this question because we all thought we had it fucking figured out in our 20s. Well, I really did. I really thought I did. And then I get to my 30s, halfway through my 30s now, and I'm like, wow, what a shit show the 20s were.
I feel like in your 20s, you date for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like you let your hormones make decisions that you're like, why did I like this? Like if I could go back in time, I would kick my own ass. You know how many DJs I've did? Like, why? Yes.
Oh, burn, DJ Soul.
Yeah. I'm sorry, DJs. I apologize. I had a full iPod at the time. I would collect songs from all these DJs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that.
I remember one DJ. I didn't date this guy, but he liked me, and he had like this crazy playlist, and he had like 20,000 songs that I wanted, and it was like all these old school stuff, like really hard to find stuff. And he was like, "I'll give you these songs if you send me a pair of your used panties."
Whoa.
So I sent him a pair of panties that were not used lied and said they were used. And
I love it. Dude, as soon as you said that,
20,000 songs.
As soon as you said that, because I love music, I was like, I'd be a whore for music. Yeah, I would. I would do it. Yeah, iPod days, that was the shit. Like, I remember downloading off Napster and what was the other one? LimeWire. Fucking DJ Soul knows. LimeWire.
You just date for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, he's hot. Meanwhile, he like has terrible credit. You know what I mean? Like, you're just like, why did I remember one time I went out with a guy. He was so hot, and we get to the movie theater, and he's like, I only got $7.
Stop. Wow. Stop.
And I was like, what? So you met me, got on the subway, got here, and just knew that I was going to pay. And
oh no,
we're standing there about to get tickets, and he's like, I only got $7. I was like,
wow. Yeah. And did you actually go on the date?
Yes, because I'm an idiot.
Because we were young. No, you were young. Because now we would look at him and be like, well, I'll see you later. Or I won't see you later.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And then I dated a guy who was like a musician, but he also did magic.
Oh, magic, a magician.
Yeah. And that one was hilarious because so he was really hot. And
he would have to be Phoenix for him to be a magician. He would have to be smoke show.
So I go to like sleep over his house, and I had sparring the next day. I was boxing at the time, and because he was new to magic, he had gotten doves.
Okay.
And like, you know how Prince says doves cry? Yeah. Well, doves cry. Okay, they make a lot of noise. So I had like 3 minutes of sleep because these stupid doves would not stop. So I was at Gleason's gym at the time, boxing, and I'm sparring, and I just look like shit. And my coach is like, did you get laid last night? And I'm like, how did you know? And he's like, because you're horrible right now. Just go home. And he like kicks me out. And I realized that it's not about having sex before a fight. It's about losing focus and not getting enough sleep. So that's why they don't want you to hook up, because you just lose, you know what I mean? You could have doves keeping you up all night.
That's hilarious. You dated a magician. Well, first you said a musician, and I was like,
he was a musician who did magic in his act. I swear to you.
Okay.
Probably made his career disappear.
Wow. Zol with the zinger.
I don't even know. That one was like, that was just,
I love that. Well,
questionable boyfriends.
That's great. Well, did you have anybody explaining, like, I don't know what your family environment was like, and that's a super loaded question, but the reason I ask is because, you had one side of the spectrum where it's like, okay, one day you're gonna get a boyfriend and here's what sex is, and then you have like, my end of the spectrum where they were like, we don't talk about that, and then you just go do your own thing and you figure it out. Did you have any kind of guidance? No.
So I I'm half Puerto Rican, half Italian.
Okay.
So you can imagine how Catholic Christian that shit is, right? So I knew nothing about like anything about, you know what I mean? Like we'd have sex ed in school.
Yeah.
So I like accidentally put in, I think it was either my brother or my mother's ex-husband's porn tapes.
Yes.
And that's how I saw sex for the first time.
Me too.
And I was like, oh, this looks so painful and kind of animalistic. I thought that balls were like two separate components on the other side of the dick, like knobs. Like I didn't know that it was like this. I was so like, what am I, Animal Planet? What am I looking at the first time I saw it?
It's disturbing. Yeah. The first, especially when no one explains it to you, for sure. I literally remember, you know, it was like a VHS tape, put it in, and then you kind of like, you're confused, and then you like realize what's going on. And it's just like, horror, no, take it out.
But then you can't stop looking at it. You're like, what? You know, and then like when the guy ejaculates, I thought that was a special effect. Like I had no idea what was happening. You know what I mean? Luckily I had older cousins that had explained it to me. And I was like, oh, okay. Cause you know, they tell you sex is bad and this and this and that. And it's like, there's all these stigmas about it. And then you feel guilty. You don't know if you should or you shouldn't. And you never know how you feel. It actually makes it really worse, especially for young girls.
Of course.
But it it was funny. Now that I look back on that, I'm like, oh.
Do you think that since it wasn't as talked about, you kind of were a little bit more wild in your younger years? Because I feel like if you restrict anything like sex, alcohol, drugs, you know, even violence, you know, on TV, whatever it is, it seems like the kid is like, that's what I want, you know?
It wasn't necessarily that, because I've always been a boyfriend person. You know, it was like when I had a boyfriend and we were together for a long time, and then we finally decided to do it. And you know, you're in your teens, and like, you know, you're like, it was later, but it was still like my one long-term boyfriend, and it was a little bit of pressure from him. And then I was like, okay, you know, I tried like all the mixtapes, like Let's Wait a While. I tried all that
you
shit.
tried to hold out.
Like,
you're like, I'm trying to be a good girl.
and I was, you know, nervous, whatever, but he didn't want to hear it. You know, and so I just like grew up into it. But you do go through these things where, I mean, we're human beings and we're normal, but if you feel like you want it, you're bad. And like all of these stigmas that you have to break free of as an adult. And also too, it's different for women. It is different for women. I know that it shouldn't be, but it is. It's like, because of just the anatomy of it all. And most of the time we're smaller than you. Like it is different. So we do need to protect ourselves in some way. And, you know, guys do try to take advantage and gee us. I love you too much, baby. And there's like, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of that we go through. So I do wish we would talk to our girls and create more open dialogue with them on, hey, it's not that you shouldn't want this, but it's about protecting yourself, because he might be a magician or an asshole. You know what I mean? The magician actually wasn't an asshole, but you know, it's like, you don't want to give away something that is yours. And you know what I mean? And then when you do, it's like completely your choice. It's not because some ass pressured you.
For sure. And you're right. It's very different for girls because of the security, the fear aspect, you know, like or both people, the boy and the girl or two girls or whatever, very vulnerable situation. But when someone is, you know, more dominant, you know, in size, it's kind of scary. You want to feel like you can trust them. And at that age, it's no wonder guys have no problem just having sex when they're young, and then girls, we got to feel like we trust the person, which is very hard to do, I think, at that age.
For sure. Yeah, I definitely think so.
Have you ever done online dating? I know you're in this 7-year relationship, and I feel like 7 years ago there was online dating, but it wasn't as Tinder, swipe left, right, happy as we are now.
I can't remember what it was. It was like 12 years ago or maybe more that I tried some online dating. And the guy was like, literally like, yeah, let's meet in a parking lot.
Whoa. Red flag,
and I was like,
red flag everywhere.
I was like, yeah, I'm a self-defense instructor and you're giving me examples that I use in class. No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. So I was like, what the fuck? And then I forget, there's another circumstance where I got catfished so bad. And I think it was online dating, and the guy had a head that was the size of a small moon.
What?
It was the strangest thing. I don't understand if it was like a problem, but how his head was so big. He should have went into, he actually couldn't go into fighting because he'd be so easy to hit. He had the biggest head I'd ever seen. And like, and he was conceited. So it was like, you're just a symbol of yourself.
Wow.
That was like a horrible, horrible experience. So
no good experiences with online dating.
No, but I have so many friends that got married that way. So I don't,
That's true.
I tell people to try it. It's the way to go now.
I'm even though my partner and I met through Instagram, that's like almost a way of online dating. You know, it's an online platform. Somebody is showing you attention, and that's like the catalyst of how you meet. So I feel like everybody meets in some way or another through social media or online dating. Like, it's very rare when people actually meet like kismet, or like a cute meet, you know, in person.
Yeah, I think so too. So I say go for it, you know?
Yeah. Is there anything that you would share with us, because you have had a long relationship, and I want to know, especially after a while, you know, things need to be spiced up in the bedroom. Is there anything that you would suggest?
Yeah, especially for both parties, don't get too comfortable doing the same thing all the time. You know, find like games, have fun. Remember that the beauty of being in a long-term relationship is that you're best friends. So you shouldn't be afraid to talk about stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I think when you stop talking, or when things get really, like, again, with the whole situation of taking each other for granted, my fiance put it to me in a way that literally helped me for what his needs are versus what my needs are. His needs, he was like, Phoenix, let me explain something to you. Guys are visual. Why do you think I have a 70-inch TV and I play video games and the pixels got to be blah, 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 blah. And I got stereo system. Yeah. We need the stimulus. So I'm like, you want me to wear lingerie? Bingo.
Got it.
He likes, you know what I mean? For us girls, if we're not feeling good about our bodies, we kind of like hide, you know, and I gained some weight. So I'm like, I'm all up in my, you know, X-Men t-shirt. And he's like, So, okay, so you got to dress it up a little bit. You got to keep it grown and sexy. They like that.
Yeah. That's
fine. Like, thank you for telling me, you know? And then for us, I think as women, guys, please don't be pile drivers. Like, this is not fun.
Yeah.
Just learn to give a good massage, get sensual, say some stuff.
Yeah.
Even if it's in a different language, like, I just do something that keeps it like you've got the passion.
Yeah.
Because men think that we're like them, where we're just visual creatures, that, oh, you don't find me attractive anymore. No, I still find you attractive. You're just not stimulating the brain. We need it up here. I read this great quote that says, women need love to have sex, where men have to have sex to feel loved.
Oh, wow.
And it was like,
yeah. Yes.
You know, wow. So how can we both like fulfill that in each other? Can you make me feel loved so I want to have sex with you? And can I have sex with you to show you that I still love you?
Yes.
So it's like, come on, man, universe, why do you put these two characters
like the chicken
together
or the
when
egg type
such
situation?
Opposing views on how stuff gets done. So learn how to give a good massage. Like, just keep it, just play with us, flirt with us throughout the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then we'll want you later on, because if we're just sitting in the house all day and then you grab me, I'm going to be like, I'm not there right now. Yeah. You know, where to them, it's just like, I like those shorts. You know, it doesn't, we don't work that way. At least I don't. I wish I did, but I think that that's how you keep it. You keep a relationship, especially after a period of time, by knowing the other's buttons and being willing to go there on both sides.
For sure. And like you said in the beginning, it's all about telling your partner what you need, because I think a lot of women, probably not men so much, but we are overthinkers. And so we do that whole, like, I expect him to know thing, but you can't do that. You're going to get in trouble. You know, if you assume, you make an ass out of you and me, or however it goes.
Yes.
So, and I thought, even me personally, like, you know, 3 years next week, but I realized about 6 months ago, maybe even like, maybe at most a year, but like less than a year ago. So like 2 years in, I really started telling him what I wanted. But I felt comfortable before, but you reach a different level of comfortability when you're in the relationship longer. Maybe certain people, they get to that point sooner. It's probably an individual thing. But for me, after about the 2-year mark, it was like, okay, I was open before, but now I can tell you fucking get down there, do that, and it's a whole nother, it like opens this whole door of happiness because you're really telling each other what you want, and not just sexually, obviously, right? Hey, I'm a big crybaby. I'm like, I'm the softest hard girl you'll ever meet.
Same. Same. Yeah.
Like, fuck it. What's hard on the outside, soft in the middle. That's me. Whatever.
M&Ms.
Yeah, M&M. I'm a giant M&M, but I'm M&M when I fight, and then I'm chocolate when I come with my partner or whatever. But yeah, and that's like, I think, one of the beautiful parts of having a long relationship where, it's work, it's not ever gonna not be work. But what you get as each year kind of goes on, I'm like, oh, never had this. It's like things that you don't get in just these quick little flings, which are fun. Hey, flings are fun, Yeah.
Totally. And, it is, but you can build and develop and grow and have trust and all that type of stuff that could make it fun. I would prefer international booty. When we travel, there's international booty, and I'm like, I could check off Spain on the list. I could, you got to have international booty, because I've traveled a lot, but it was always for work. So I didn't get enough international booty. So I will make a list of places that I'd like to get some booty, and my boyfriend will go along with it. Okay, yes. I said, I'm going to violate you in Italy. I don't know why, but when I see Italy, I'm like, I need to get laid in Italy.
Italian, isn't that the language of love, or am I crazy? No?
Right. I think
don't
it's
know.
French.
Something. Oh, French. Yeah.
But,
okay.
Yeah. But, if most of my fantasies look like a James Bond film. I want to be in an exotic location with some type of backless dress with a slit on the side, and espionage and car chases. Like, that's sexy.
I love that. What is something that's on your sexual bucket list that you can share with us? A place?
I want to have a James Bond sexual experience. I wanted to have international booty.
International booty. I love it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We went to Costa Rica, and there was like a volcano out of our window. Like, literally we were like, there's a volcano right there. And I don't know why, but it was really hot.
Oh yeah.
For me.
Yeah. I'm getting that you like the danger vibe.
I do.
That's fun. Does that mean that you're a little bit of an exhibitionist? Like maybe the excitement of getting caught might be kind of sexy?
Yeah, I like that. I like the places, like just different places. And
can you share with us
outfits? Like, I'm into outfits.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah.
So
just well dressed. Like, I don't know.
I know that cosplay is big in the comic book. You guys said you're in your comic books and Star Wars. So I'm assuming that cosplay happens in the bedroom.
It hasn't, but I would like it to.
Oh.
So I didn't realize I was into this, but a couple of years ago, I was like the female Wolverine, and he was Nightcrawler, and I was like, I don't know why, but I'm turned on right now. Yeah. Like, do I like blue dudes, or do I just want to see what a blue penis looks like? Like, what? Why am I into Nightcrawler right now?
Let's do it for you.
Or maybe I have a thing for the Marvel universe, and because all of those dudes are very hot.
Yeah.
Like, Disney was like, who's hot? Let's cast him. Or are they hot just because? Like, I don't know if I thought Paul Rudd was hot until he was Ant-Man. And now I'm like, Paul Rudd's really hot.
Paul Rudd is in I Love You, Man, right?
Yes.
Paul Rudd's not hot. Paul Rudd is the guy that's in Wanderlust, where he's like, I'm gonna stick my dick in you. My dick. You ready for this dick? I'm like, I can't look at him and not see. You ready? I'm gonna put this all up in your vag. All up in your vag. I'm like,
he's
this
so
not sexy.
Funny. He's so funny, and that does it for me too.
You know what? You got me there, because my bucket list, my I feel like my boyfriend. Obviously he's always going to be like, no, but like, I'm like, Adam Sandler, can I one time maybe? And it's like,
I get it.
He's not sexy at all, but like, he makes me laugh and happy and nostalgic in a way that I'm like, I would. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
There's a few. I think we all have a few of those where you're like, you're not really attractive, but yet
You're doing it for me. Something down there's moving.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. You know?
You do a lot of interviews with these fighters, and obviously my show is where they would say something like this. But have you ever been told by a fighter or a combat sports athlete about a sex switch ritual? What I mean by that is. That sounds real weird when you say it like that. But do certain fighters tell you that they abstain from sex before a fight?
A lot of them do.
Really?
But it's for the reason that I was talking about earlier, which I totally understand. It's just about not losing focus.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I find this really different with men and women. So like I'll have sex and then I'm up. Like I'm awake. I could clean the house. I'm like I got a good 30 minutes where I'm wide awake. I want to talk. My fiance's out cold.
Oh yeah.
Like
no, I don't think it's boys and girls, because I'm like him. I'm like, if we have morning sex, which I love because I'm a weird morning person, but it's the opposite of a cup of coffee for me. I'm like, all right, it feels like a rainy day. Let's cozy back into bed. I just want to cuddle, and it kind of kills my natural energy when I'm like up in the morning
for the rest of the day.
Yeah, and it's like, damn it, but I know you feel me on this, Phoenix.
Yeah.
You work so goddamn hard in all these fields. You train your ass off, literally like beat your body up. And then you get home and you're like, I wanna fuck, but I'm so tired.
Yeah. You get a totally different sexual experience from the morning to the evening. Yeah. And I think, and especially because of our like schedules and training and stuff like that, like, especially I'm sure if it's a wrestling or grappling day, you're just like, we'll do it, but I'm not doing any tricks. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yesterday was my first day back to live wrestling, and I felt absolutely great, man. Like my partner told me, he was like, your timing is just there. And it's been
nice.
It's been like 2 years since I went hard because of all the shit, spine surgery and shit that I've been going through. And right before we called it, he was like, hey, you're kind of getting a little tired. Like it's first day back, maybe just pull back, maybe just call it, and I was like, no, I feel good. And then one round later, right now I'm like looking left and right.
Yeah,
I got
you're like 1989 Batman.
Yeah, Frankenstein. I can't turn my neck right now. And so last night, obviously, like the perv that I am, I'm like, yeah, I want to have sex. But then it was like, any kind of movement, I was like, ow. So I was like, all right, I guess we're not doing it, but it's just a hard lifestyle. And then he also trains as well, so it's a struggle. But yeah, morning sex is the cure for me, but I just have to like push through that go back to sleepness that you don't have.
No, I don't. But again, it's just different for people, you just kind of figure out, okay, how do we make it work? With fighters will tell me that a lot of them abstaining has more to do with just no distractions. Mm-hmm. And being able to focus and to get to the gym on time and to do what they need to do. And then some will say, no, I do because it helps me relieve stress and tension. So there's no real right or wrong answer with that. I mean, science does say that having sex does increase testosterone, which we need when we're training really hard, whether you're a fighter or you're just someone who regularly exercises. Mm-hmm. So I think it's like finding the balance of when it's not taking away from your training structure than opposed to just like, having some fun.
Oh yeah. And I tell everybody that I think a lot about the placebo effect. If you truly feel like having sex fucks you up, then it's going to fuck you up because you believe that. And if you believe that it's beneficial, then you're going to rub one out or get it in, and you're probably going to feel better because, our mind is so fucking powerful. So I just tell myself that it gives me superpowers.
I think it relieves tension too. Like if we've been arguing for a while, I'm like, yeah, we need to do it.
Yeah, and
because then all of a sudden a lot of that'll go away.
Yeah, I also, I'm no expert, but like 123 episodes into this show, and I'm seeing a correlation between the people that say, "Oh, I abstain." It's because they usually are not in a long-term relationship. But the people that say, "Oh yeah, I have sex," it's that partner is not drama. That partner is a long-term ride or die. They don't cause drama. They're not in that early stages, so they don't got to worry about staying up late. And like, this is just me doing my research. I'm like,
no, it's smart.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But
it does really make a lot of sense. Yeah.
Is there a pet peeve that you have in the bedroom? And I always give the example anywhere from bad breath to, slipping in the back door without asking, which is so rude, guys. So rude. Come on.
Well, that's definitely one. I would also say, I think it's like when it just becomes mechanical. I think that's everyone's pet peeve.
Of course.
Being a little smelly.
Yeah.
I remember I went out with a guy, this is years ago, and I faked my period because he just smelled so bad. I was like, I can't today. Because and I was like, why? What happened? You weren't like this. It's like, what, I don't know if you were ill, like, just make sure you
Yeah, I wonder if, because, guys are less sensitive than we are in a lot of ways, and they care so much about sex. I wonder if in that position you could have been like, hey, like, could you bird bath real quick? Or is that is that too mean? Like, because I feel like most guys, like, even they would be hurt. They'd be like, oh, but we could have sex after this? Okay, let me go.
Yeah, that's so true. Because, like, what if he, like, had a terrible work day, or, like, you know what I mean? Like, just be considerate. If he was a jerk anyway, but like, if it was my man, I'd be like, yo, get in the shower, or I'll meet you in there. You know what I mean? Like, just fun stuff like that.
That's another benefit of a long-term relationship. You're not going to get your feelings hurt. It's like, hey, I want to bone you, but you need to, like, clean it up.
It's a fun thing about, like, being in a long-term relationship too, is you can still be a little gross and still love each other, and still, like,
I feel like we get grosser as our relationship goes on, and, like, I'm not a dainty, like, super feminine, or, like, I don't know. I'm not that girl at all, but, like, I will always be the girl that, like, I don't want to pee or go to the bathroom in front of my guy, and or that thing that girls don't do, fart, like, I try to keep some kind of, like, mystery or romance.
Well, farting is going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought I could go this whole 7 years without farting, and it didn't.
I just blame my dog always. I'm like, Rocco.
Oh, I used to blame the dog, and then this one I just couldn't. I couldn't blame the dog. Like, I can't drink wine and eat grapes. Like, I can't.
Really?
Just the whole grape situation for my body is not
okay.
It doesn't work out.
Okay.
So we were dating, like, only a year, and I had grapes and wine, and it just slipped out, and it was like. And we all fart in our sleep, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Woken himself up farting that hard. Anyway, so he walks in and he's like, and I'm like, I can't lie my way out of this one. I farted, man. It happened, and he laughed his ass off, and we thought it was hilarious. Then he came back in and he's like, "Does it still smell in here?" I'm like, "No, that was a fresh one." Like,
oh God.
I think we're going to be sleeping separate tonight, because and that's the thing. Like, if I fart and it makes noise, it doesn't smell. But if it's an STD, it's going to be bad.
Yeah, yeah. Bad. So all you gentlemen listening, anybody have a boner? Yeah, no? Okay. All right, we are moving on to the lightning sex round. For you long-term listeners, probably your favorite part. For you newbies, it's a lightning round of yes or no questions. And are you ready to play, Phoenix?
Do it.
All right. Lightning sex round with Phoenix. Do you dirty talk in bed?
Yes.
Spank or like to be spanked?
I do both.
Biting?
Yes.
Choking?
No. Then all of a sudden, then I got to defend it.
Yeah. You go into combat mode. Yeah, that happens. Threesomes?
No.
Do you watch porn?
Sometimes, yeah.
Any kind of fetish, like a foot fetish?
Apparently, superheroes.
Oh yeah, I love it. Okay.
James Bond. I have a James Bond thing.
Yeah. The danger superhero type thing. Yeah.
More James Bond than
James Bond. Okay.
Yeah.
Bondage, like ropes, blindfolds, or handcuffs.
No, I'm highly claustrophobic. Really fucking claustrophobic. Yeah.
Freak out if you're held down.
Yeah. So the magician did not get to.
I don't want to be your fucking magician's assistant.
No.
Okay, how about this one? Role playing.
Yes, I think that'd be fun.
Okay.
Like,
so
you're James Bond and it's like espionage or some shit.
But I always like ask people about this, and it seems sexy, but maybe because you're an actress, you can actually stay in character. My friend Zeta, she is so good at keeping a straight face. Like, I was actually like trying to mess with her the other day. I was like trying to like psych her out, and she just has such good control of her emotions from acting.
I had to work for the police department. I worked for the NYPD as part of the crisis intervention team, and you would have to act out these scenarios to test the cops on how they would call it the takedown, the talk down before the takedown.
Oh, so good.
So I would have to act like I had borderline personality disorder or schizophrenia or autism or like any of these things, so that they could handle what's called EDP. Yeah, de-escalate, handled EDPs, emotionally disturbed people.
Oh.
And you would have to act this out to the cops in a complete straight face and watch them de-escalate the situation. So it was like crazy because, I mean, this is off topic, but it was crazy because you realize like what the police go through and, you know, who's good at it and who's like really.
It could probably really make you appreciate what they do, but also scare you for who's in our legal system, or I mean, our justice system.
For the most part, I was impressed. I was like, wow, this is an extremely hard job, and they do deserve a lot of credit.
Well, I'm just happy that there's like de-escalation training going on, because sometimes you hear about shit that goes down, and I'm like, could we have talked that person out? No, okay. And there are obviously times where fucking weapons and you just, you know, it's either you or them. Yeah. I understand that, but it's just good to know. I think that all cops should be bare minimum blue belts in jiu-jitsu.
100%
probably
agree.
Even purple belt, you know, but like it's probably asking for a lot. But yeah, I wish that jiu-jitsu was implemented more into the police.
100%. 100% agree.
Total sidetrack. Okay, on to the lightning sex round. Sorry, guys. Okay, how about butt stuff on you or a partner? Getting right back in there.
Because I feel like it would make me feel like I have to poop. So I've never been into it.
All right. What about do you use sex toys?
I haven't, but I'm not opposed to it.
I feel like that's something that my partner and I started doing after a couple years being together. And that's just another thing that you can add in if you're like, you know, happy with your relationship, but sex is getting a little boring. Add in some sex toys. It's fun.
Yeah. Why not?
What about ever been to a sex club or a swingers party?
I have not.
Yeah. It's on my bucket list as well. Lingerie lover. Yeah. All right. For your man, huh? What about you personally? Do you like it?
I love clothes.
Oh.
I just love like femininity and clothing and dressing up, and like I love it.
Good for you, 100%. Because that's probably one of the aspects of like getting out of being a professional athlete and into this like media light. I'm like, if I have to do my makeup one more goddamn time or buy some shoes,
that's hard.
I'm like, fucking shit.
That's hard. It is really hard.
I'm learning. Okay, and then last couple are ever been caught having sex or caught masturbating?
I've been caught having sex. I feel like I have, and I can't remember.
I usually say if you don't remember, you probably haven't, or it wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad. I think it was one of those things where we're like, hey, no, we're good. We're just watching this film. That's like, I think it was like one of those. Okay. Yeah, no, everything's cool. Yeah. It's good. Like, I think it was like that.
Yeah. Okay.
It was one of those things.
Awesome. Well, that's a lightning sex round. Thanks, Phoenix. That was great. The next two segments are a game of fuck, marry, kill, and some fan questions.
Yes!
Fuck one, marry one, kill one. Go. I think we're done here.
So,
okay.
Ready to play fuck, marry, kill?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So since you are a woman who's constantly behind the mic and multi-talented, I gave you behind the mic category. So you brought him up earlier. He actually is on your fuck, marry, kill. You get to choose from John Anik, Paul Felder, and Dominic Cruz. And this is all in good fun, guys, you know? Like, we're not trying to kill no one. And, you know, Phoenix has got her man. So it's just a game.
Okay. I think you kill Dominic Cruz.
Oh, right off the bat.
You fuck Paul Felder.
Okay.
And you marry John Anik.
Oh, you marry John Anik for sure.
You marry John Anik.
You marry John Anik.
Yeah, that's how I think it goes.
We think highly of you, John Anik, and nothing about the other guys. But yeah, you're right. He is that middle glue. And actually, my partner told me the other day, he's like, he'll always probably be unbiased, right? He's like the company man, and he's like for everybody. And then you get like DC, who like last week he was brutal on some of these fighters. I was like, ooh, what does he say about me?
But I mean, he's speaking like how he sees it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I give him a pass in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I love that he's being authentic, and you know, it is an entertainment. So it's like it's good to have, you know, the neutral guy, the company man, and then the guy who's a little bit more spicy, and it's working for them, obviously. Okay, so Before we get to these fan questions, where can the people that are not going to follow us to the UFC Fight Pass platform, where we get the exclusive content, all the good, juicy fan questions, where can we find you on social media or anything else you want to promote right now?
I use Instagram the most. So you can definitely find me on there. And yeah, like that's the 2023 will be a lot different. I'll have a lot more to share and a lot of more things will be going on, but you can find me on Instagram. It's the best way to reach me.
Okay. Awesome. That's it for episode 123 with Phoenix Carnevale. What a cool name. It sounds like an actress's name or, like just a movie character. I love it. Phoenix Carnevale. Guys, UFC Fight Pass is the world's premier combat sports streaming service with over 200 live events, the largest fight library in existence, original shows, and more. Sign up for 1 year and get half off for a limited time at ufcfightpass.com/sign up. And next week, I'm very, very, very excited to have this guest back on. He's one of our very few returning guests. It's been over 2 years since I've had this guest on. That means he's one of the OGs of Sex and Violence with Rebel Girl, somebody who took a chance on me. He had a huge following. He's just a international personality. And 2 years ago, he said, okay, I'll do your Ring-a-Ding podcast. And to me, that says a lot. He took the time out of his day because I guess he respected me enough to do that. And we've stayed friends this whole time. And I can't wait to talk about all the new things that he's doing. But Jason Ellis, multi-talented Aussie guy, radio personality, podcast host, former pro skateboarder. I think he's like in the Guinness Book of World Records or something. Like just did some cool shit. Most recently, he's gotten into stand-up comedy. I have seen him.
He's funny.
Dude, like...
He's fucking funny.
It's... And, like, my boyfriend, he's like, yeah, he's good. He's maybe a little bit more rough, like, he's got to work on some, like... My partner has been watching stand-up comedy for many, many years, like going to the Comedy Store when he was very young. And, I just think this guy is made for comedy. And so I'm excited to talk to him about how it's going, what some of his goals are, if he's still doing, I know he's still podcasting, but whatever else he's got going on. I know he actually has, Ellis Mania, which he still does. And he's also got his last ever MMA fight coming up. And my boyfriend is actually his jiu-jitsu coach. So just, we're all connected. And I think it's going to be a great episode, guys. And then this guy is always talking about, some crazy sexual stuff, and his comedy is really good, guys. So if you don't know who Jason Ellis is, you're in for a treat. Don't forget to check out our website, sexviolencewithrebelgirl.com. If you want to email me about fucking anything, sexandviolencepodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to support me for the sexy pictures and the videos and all the naughty stuff, that website is ashleyrebelgirl.com. That's it, guys. Please share this podcast because you want to support us, and maybe you don't got $9.99 for a t-shirt. That's okay. Just share this episode. I love you guys. Thank you for all the fan questions. If you haven't gone over to the UFC Fight Pass platform, it's all good. I don't blame you, but you're definitely missing out on your actual fan questions being answered by the guest. So special thank you to audio engineer DJ Zol at DJ Zol on Instagram, Tomorrow Kids Studio at Tomorrow Kids Official, and you can always find us at Sex and Violence with Rebel Girl. You gotta spell that whole bitch out because we're shadow banned. So fucking follow that one and our backup account at Sex and Violence with Rebel Girl with a number 2 because, there's Karens in the world, and myself at Ashley MMA. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's show. I did. I learned a ton. I'm super inspired. Remember, be kind, be grateful, but don't take shit from anyone. Talk to you next week with a new guest and more tales of sex and violence. Bye.